Tonight, go outside, find a dark spot away from the city lights, and look up. What do you see? Thousands of points of light scattered across an endless black canvas, each one a sun, each one a potential home, each one calling to something ancient and restless inside you that whispers, "What if we could go there?" Now here is the question you have never asked yourself, the question that science fiction has spent a century training you not to ask. What if we can't? What if it is not a matter of time? What if it is not a matter of better engines or more funding or smarter engineers? What if the universe itself has already decided and the decision is final? We have been sold a story, a beautiful, seductive, completely false story. The story says that every frontier eventually falls, that the same species which crossed oceans and conquered skies and walked on the moon will inevitably walk on alien worlds beneath alien suns, that the distance to the stars is just a longer version of the distance to the next continent, that the laws of physics are merely suggestions and human ingenuity is the only real limit. This story is wrong. Not slightly wrong, not prematurely wrong, catastrophically, mathematically, existentially wrong. And the proof has been sitting in plain sight for over a century, hidden in equations that most of us were never taught to read. Einstein wrote it down in 1905. Every experiment since has confirmed it. Every particle accelerator has tested it. Every GPS satellite compensates for it every single second of every single day. And yet, we keep dreaming. We keep believing. We keep telling ourselves that the stars are our destiny. They are not. And tonight, I am going to show you why. I am going to take you through the walls that physics has built around every star in the sky. I am going to show you the numbers that make interstellar travel not just difficult, but impossible in a way that no amount of progress can ever fix. I am going to explain why the speed of light is not a speed limit, but a law of geometry, why the energy required to approach it climbs toward actual infinity, why the rocket equation eats every improvement we could ever make, why the empty void between stars is actually a killing field, and why every proposed loophole, every warp drive, every wormhole requires a substance that does not exist and probably cannot exist. By the time I am finished, you will understand something that most people never grasp. You will understand that the stars are not destinations. They are not future colonies. They are not waiting for us. They are lights in a window, and we are on the other side of the glass. Forever. This is not pessimism. This is not giving up. This is growing up. This is finally understanding the universe on its own terms, instead of the terms we wish were true. And if you have the courage to look reality in the face, if you can handle having your assumptions shattered by the cold mathematics of existence, then stay with me, because what comes next will change the way you see the night sky forever. This is not a coincidence. It is not bad luck. It is the energy conditions, fundamental constraints woven into general relativity that say gravity is attractive, that energy is positive, that matter behaves in predictable ways. Every faster-than-light mechanism violates these conditions. To violate them, you need exotic matter, and exotic matter does not exist. The pattern is too consistent to be accidental. The universe is not hiding a back door. It is not waiting for someone clever enough to find the hidden passage. The laws of physics form a closed system, internally consistent, mutually reinforcing, with no exceptions and no loopholes. The speed of light is not a suggestion. It is not a challenge. It is not a puzzle waiting for a smarter generation to solve. It is a description of how reality works at the deepest level. Some will say that quantum gravity might change this, that at the Planck scale, the rules might be different, that extra dimensions might provide shortcuts. But quantum gravity does not exist as a tested theory. It is speculation built upon speculation, hope stacked upon hope, with not a single confirmed prediction in decades of effort. Building a case for interstellar travel on the foundation of an unfinished, untested, unverified branch of theoretical physics is not science, it is faith. And faith, however powerful, does not move stars. It does not bend spacetime. It does not conjure exotic matter from the vacuum. The universe does not do magic, and neither should we. So where does this leave us? After all the equations, after all the walls, after the Lorentz factor and the rocket equation and the interstellar gauntlet and the impossibility of exotic matter, what is actually possible? What can we do not in our dreams, but in reality? The answer is both devastating and magnificent. It is the ceiling of human achievement in the cosmos, and it looks nothing like the science fiction we were promised. Breakthrough Starshot. Remember that name. In 2016, a group of scientists and investors led by the late Stephen Hawking announced a proposal: gram-scale probes, wafer-thin spacecraft carrying cameras and sensors, a laser array the size of a city, firing for minutes with the power of 100 nuclear reactors. Light sails no thicker than a few atoms, pushed to 20% of the speed of light. 20%, not 99, not even 50, 20. A velocity so modest by relativistic standards that the Lorentz factor is barely more than 1. Time dilation negligible. Energy requirements enormous but not infinite. Doable, perhaps. In centuries if we dedicate ourselves. These probes, if they work, will reach Alpha Centauri in 20 years. 20 years of flight time for a journey that light itself makes in 4.37 years. They will not slow down. They cannot slow down. They will flash through the system at 60 million miles per hour, capturing images and data for a few hours as the star system streaks past their sensors. Then they will continue into the void forever, carrying whatever they learned away from us at a speed we can never match. The data they send back will take 4 years to reach Earth, a faint whisper from another world, arriving long before the probe that gathered it has vanished into the darkness. This is the ceiling. This is what physics permits. Not cities on Mars, not colonies orbiting Jupiter, certainly not generation ships or galactic empires. A few grams of electronics flung past the nearest star at tremendous speed, returning a trickle of information before being lost to the cosmos forever. The most ambitious engineering project in human history, consuming resources that could lift billions out of poverty, all for a flyby that lasts hours and returns images that future generations will study like archaeologists studying cave paintings. And it is magnificent. Do not mistake the limitations for failure. Do not confuse the ceiling with a cage. These gram-scale probes, if we ever build them, will be the greatest achievement of our species. They will carry our curiosity across distances that defeat everything else we have ever built. They will see worlds that human eyes will never touch, sending back evidence of their existence across 4 years of light travel time. They will be our ambassadors to the stars, our messages in bottles thrown into an ocean that has no far shore. They will prove that we understood the universe well enough to know exactly what we could and could not do, and that we chose to do the thing we could, even if it was not the thing we dreamed. Everything beyond this is fantasy. Every crewed mission, every colony ship, every generation arc, every faster-than-light dream collides with the same walls we have spent this entire journey mapping. The energy requirements diverge toward infinity. The fuel masses exceed planets. The interstellar medium shreds anything large enough to carry life. The laws of physics do not yield. They do not negotiate. They do not care how much we want to believe otherwise. The ceiling is real. It is fixed. It is not moving. But the ceiling is not the end. It is the beginning of wisdom. Because once we accept what we cannot do, we are free to focus on what we can do. We can explore this solar system, which contains more wonders than 1,000 lifetimes could exhaust. We can build telescopes that resolve the surfaces of exoplanets, that analyze their atmospheres for the chemical signatures of life, that bring the universe to us, even if we cannot go to it. We can listen for signals, send our own, and know that somewhere, perhaps, someone else is doing the same, staring at their own ceiling and wondering if we are here. The ceiling is not a prison, it is a framework. And within that framework, there is more than enough room for a species to spend eternity in discovery. There is a particular cruelty in the way the universe arranged things. It made us curious, it made us explorers, it hardwired into our species an irresistible pull toward the horizon, an ache that activates every time we look up on a clear night and see those points of light scattered across the darkness like promises. It gave us brains capable of understanding the distances, of calculating the trajectories, of imagining the worlds that orbit those distant suns. And then it wrote the equations that make reaching them impossible. It built a wall around every star and called it the speed of light. It priced every journey in the currency of infinity and called it the Lorentz factor. It filled the space between with radiation and dust and called it the interstellar medium. It gave us the desire and denied us the means. This is not an accident. This is the architecture of reality. But here's the thing about cages. They are only cages if you spend your life pressing against the bars. If you accept them, if you understand them, if you learn to see the world through them rather than in spite of them, they transform. They become frameworks. They become contexts. They become the shape within which everything meaningful happens. The stars are not doors. They never were. They are windows. And windows are not meant to be walked through. They're meant to be looked through. They're meant to let in light. They're meant to reveal what lies beyond the walls of the room you inhabit. And what they reveal, if you look honestly, is more than enough. We can see the stars. We can study them. We can analyze their light and know their temperature, their composition, their age. We can detect the wobble of planets orbiting them and measure the size and orbit of worlds we will never touch. We can search their atmospheres for the chemical fingerprints of life, for oxygen and methane and water vapor, for the signs that something else out there is looking back. We can listen for signals, send our own, and know that even if we never meet, even if the distances defeat us forever, we are not alone in our curiosity. The universe made us unable to visit. It did not make us unable to know. And knowing, perhaps, is the thing we were always meant to do. So there is grace in accepting this, not resignation, not surrender, grace. The grace of understanding that the cosmos is not broken because it does not conform to our ambitions. The grace of seeing that the same laws that trap us also define us. That the speed of light is not a wall built to frustrate us, but the fundamental clock speed of reality, the rate at which causality propagates, the rhythm of existence itself. The grace of realizing that we are not meant to leave, we are meant to look, we are meant to wonder. We are meant to be the species that stares into the infinite and understands, truly understands, that some infinities are meant to remain infinite. The stars burn tonight as they have burned for billions of years. Their light crosses the void, traveling at that implacable speed, arriving at our eyes after journeys that began before our species existed. That light carries